Hello, welcome to Author Hour. I am your host, Richard Lyntton, author of North Korea Deception, book 1 in the Deception series. Hyde Park Deception, book 2 in the Deception series, is being released October 2021. Today, I would like to welcome Cynthia Petillo, local children's writer from Kennett Square, PA. Cynthia is the author of The Adventures of Chips and Salsa, which is her first book, and she is a Purple Dragonfly Award winner for excellence in children's literature in the categories of cultural diversity and school matters. Welcome, Cynthia.
Thank you for having me on the program. I'm doing well. Thank you.
That's
glad
so
to
great.
be here.
Yeah, so you and I sort of like got to know each other a little bit on Instagram, you know, local.
That's true.
It's kind of nice that local writers can connect. But I just have to ask you something about. Didn't I see something on Facebook just now about you flying or having flying lessons?
That is the goal. I took my ground session classes this weekend. The goal is to get up in the air.
You are fantastic.
Yeah.
So is that like a lifelong dream thing?
I think, after maybe 60-ish, I kind of wanted to do something a little daring.
You're not more than 60. You're not over 60.
Thank you for that. I'll go with that.
Oh my goodness. Well, anyway, good luck with that. You have to let us know how it goes. Anyway, let's talk about chips and salsa.
Absolutely.
I kind of want to say salsa. It's not salsa, it's salsa.
Salsa.
Right. Being British, we didn't grow up with all this Mexican food in England. You guys are much more into it here. But so fantastic name. So tell us, Cynthia. Tell us a little bit about your background and when the book dream began, when the writing dream began. And I got to say, it's just such a beautifully simple idea. Both the title and the story. Yeah. So just start wherever you want and just tell us a little bit about it.
Thank you for saying that. I wanted to write a children's book for a long time, but kind of put it in the back burner, for various reasons. But the inspiration and motivation for writing Chips and Salsa actually started. My background is in medicine.
Okay.
And after I retired, I decided to volunteer at Nemours Children's Hospital, Nemours Alfred I. DuPont Children's Hospital in Wilmington, Delaware. So I've been there for about 8 years, and I'm in the emergency room. And being in the emergency room, you see quite a bit of very serious cases and children coming in, and their families. They're distraught, but these children are so brave, and their parents are very courageous. And it just really was inspiring to see these children coming in. And whenever I'm asked to sit with them or spend some time with the children, remarkably so, even in this digital age, when I ask, well, what would you like to do? The two things are, can you read me a book? Or can we color? Interesting, very interesting.
Fantastic.
So when I went out, I would go out and try to find books, and it was kind of like in digital age, it's very difficult to find a book, even in a hospital. So I just kind of...
Wait, it's hard to find a physical book, you mean?
Yes,
wow.
yes, because most children come in, or the parents come in, and they have a digital device to keep the child occupied.
Right.
But the one-on-one connection that you get reading to a child, it's something that I believe you can't get that with a screen, because the child typically is working on the screen alone by themselves, not with the parent.
Yep.
So I really like that one-on-one feeling, and I just think it's very endearing when you sit and read to a child. And I think it's inspiring. It inspires their creativity.
You're literally like taking me back to age 7, 8, 9, and I just remember the big treat of the week at school was walking around Crocodile to our local library, and the lady sitting there, I remember her swinging her legs on the table sort of thing, and she would sometimes read 2, and then if you were really lucky, she'd read 3. And you're right, and it's such a big deal. It's such a simple thing.
It is.
And I spent hours reading to my 2 boys when they were little, and in fact, the reason I'm here in the studio is because I used to take my boys to Radnor Library, and I met a lady there who introduced me to MLTV. But anyway, it is fascinating. So there you are. you're doing this work, and there's no physical books.
Yeah, it's very difficult to locate.
So did you try and bring some physical books in, that's part one question, and then that was one of the things that made you want to write your own children's book?
Correct on both.
Okay.
So then I would ask in the volunteer office, can we get some more books? Can we get books down in the emergency room? And so we kind of had a campaign, and we brought more books in. And surprisingly so, sometimes those books disappear when the patient goes home or goes upstairs. They just kind of walk out, you know. So to constantly keep that flow of books in it's a challenge.
Wow,
but,
how about that?
So, and getting to the second point that you made, that really was my inspiration. I wanted to create a book that, first of all, was fun, that was teachable, but not preachable, as I say. I don't want to be very preachy and
teachable, not preachable.
Right, and not to put too much heavy material on a child, just to kind of, you know, spur their creativity and to strengthen the bond between the parent or the caregiver, whoever's reading to the child. So that was my inspiration. I thought, I'm going to write a book.
And when was this?
This
5 years
probably,
ago? 3?
Yeah, about 6 years ago. And then things get busy in your life, as you know, you're quite busy. And but the motivation for writing The Adventures of Chips and Salsa, I think it's a cute story, so I'll try to keep it as brief as I can. A few years ago, maybe 3 years ago, it was the 4th of July weekend. My husband was out doing his favorite thing, golf.
Golf,
right. And 18 holes. And so I decided to go to the market and, you know, just be inspired, make something interesting for dinner. And I'm walking at the local market, and I'm walking around, and I see a big pallet display of chips and salsa. And I'm thinking, it's right out there in the market, kind of in the way, but caught my attention, which it was supposed to do. And I stopped and I thought, wow, there are so many varieties of tortilla chips. And I never realized that. So many different types and sizes, and, you know, some have lime, some are round, some are square. And I just kind of like was, you know, dazzled by that. And then I looked at the salsa. How many companies with salsa? Hot, habanero, really hot, mild, and just kind of, you know, I just looked at it and I thought, chips and salsa, chips. It just kind of was like an earworm, chips and salsa.
It has a ring,
something
doesn't
that,
it?
yeah, it was like inspiration can come at any moment. So, and I went to the checkout, and I'm in the car, and I'm driving home, and I'm thinking, chips and salsa, how cute. Then I kind of thought, wouldn't it be cute to have 2 little puppies with that name, and just kind of catapulted after that. So I get home, my husband comes home, we're sitting and we're talking, and I told him about chips and salsa, and he's like, well, we're not going to get any more pets.
Oh, so
we already have one.
You meant for you to have 2 little
Yes, we already had one at the time. He's like, I think we're maxed out.
So what kind of dog do you have? Or did you have
he's
at
no
that
longer
point?
with us, but Kenjo was a Japanese chin, a small dog, And
so he says no to the 2 more pups.
Yeah, well, he would
chips
never
and
say
salsa.
no. He's like, well, you know, it's a very soft no. Let's put it that way. So that next day, I just sat at the computer and I just started belting out this story of 2 dogs.
Okay.
And then I emailed my son, he's in New York City, and he said, Mom, do it. I like what you've written so far. It's really cool. Just do it. Please, you wanted to do it for years. I thought, okay, that's it.
So is he in the industry or anything, or just?
No, he's in tech. He's in tech, but actually he's quite a good writer too.
Okay,
he has that literary.
So you
sense.
knew that he wasn't just.
No. He would tell me,
right.
Mom,
just being nice.
Mom,
Yeah,
right. He's
Great.
He's quite honest.
So you got this draft, and then what? I mean, we're
then
just
what happened?
we're just scratching the surface.
Then my
long way to
husband
go.
stepped in. My husband, he stepped in and he said, you know, I know someone, a former colleague. He's retired, an older man, and he published a book, Tucky the Nantucket Whale. I thought, oh, that's a cute little series.
That's a good
so
name
we kind
too.
of connected with Robert.
Okay.
And he's retired. He was living in Nantucket, and then they have a home in Naples, Florida as well. So then he kind of connected us with Mascot Publishing.
Okay.
So we spoke to the owner of Mascot and kind of got an idea of what I want, and he says, well, why don't you come down to Herndon, Virginia and meet us? So we did a little weekend jaunt, and we went there, and then we went to DC, and I got to meet the acquisitions manager and production
So wait,
editor.
there's no illustrations at this point, right?
No,
It's
not
just
all it
the
was this
book.
here,
Yeah, your
and
vision.
me telling, the publisher, this is
Yeah.
what I want, and a really, really rough draft.
Right.
And he loved it.
Wow.
And we sat and talked like almost 2 hours in his office. He said, this is great. And call it the adventures of Chips and Salsa so you can build on it.
Do more, yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
Right. So
wonderful.
That's how it started. And the process was a little slow. As I was telling you, it's not quite that easy to put out a good children's book.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, and continue the story because what I love about this, what we're doing now, is like the simplest thing is got such an interesting like story behind it, and that's always the case, right?
Yeah.
People think, oh, how do you do that? It's like people say to me sometimes, how do you get on TV like as an actor? I'm like, well, you audition, go up and down to New York for 20 years, and then maybe you score some jobs sometimes. But anyway. Is a process. So now someone believes in you, believes in your story, but you still only got the one story, right? Of Chips and Salsa, the first one.
Correct.
So then, what do they offer you? An illustrator, or you have to find your own?
No, they do. They have a portfolio of illustrators. That's where I kind of got tied up because the portfolios that were coming in just weren't capturing what I imagined they would look like. I had it up here, but I am not an artist.
Okay, so you're starting to, like, how much are they giving you each time?
10, 15, and they were like, you're holding up the process, but I was persistent.
But when you get the one illustrator, how many pages are they giving you?
Oh, just a one short, just an example of what they're capable of doing.
Okay, but pretty much just the one page of the two characters?
But it wasn't of my characters, it was of theirs. So you get to see what they have done in the past. Now, again, maybe the characters were totally different. They weren't two dogs, but I could just tell by some of their characters looked too cartoonish, or the colors weren't. It just.
Did you get any like Scooby-Doo kind of stuff?
Yeah, like that. Or it was too realistic. It looked like just a picture of a dog that they got from Pinterest.
Yeah.
And so I went through a list and another list, and they were getting.
But when you say a list,
the list of people that.
But you said you just said you had 10 or 15 people sending you stuff.
Probably.
And you just reject.
Yeah, or I just thought, I told my production editor, I'm not sure that they're really getting what I want.
Yeah.
So then finally we found Ana Sebastian. I believe she's in Spain. She's from Spain. And we connected. Just the picture that she sent, I thought, I really like what she's doing.
Yeah.
And this is how I want my little puppies to look like.
Yeah. Amazing.
So that was probably the longest.
Spain. That lady's in Spain.
But they had worked with her before. They had.
And has she done a lot of children's stuff?
I think she did a fair amount of children's.
How interesting.
But it just really, she seemed like she understood what I wanted.
So what she sent you, it was just like on a document sheet or a PDF?
PDF.
Color, in color, was it?
In color.
So you love it. So from that first interview at the publisher to now you found Ana Sebastian. How long is that?
That was probably
2 months.
Maybe 2 or 3 months.
And this stage the publisher's starting to get a little bit
antsy
with
they're like,
you.
Let's move it along. But I can be exacting in my own way, and if I'm going to put something out, a product or just whatever I do, I make sure that it's me.
Right,
so
and let me just while we're talking, tell us then what happened, because I do want to show an example of what we're talking about. Wait, let's find a good one here. Look at this. It's it's definitely very.
That's our park.
Yeah, and that's based on your own park, did you say?
Yeah, so you can see in the corner there near your thumb, it's the Anson B. Nixon Park.
Okay.
And that is in Kennett Square.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's a beautiful park, and they're.
And here is Chips.
That's
Salsa.
Sorry,
that's Salsa.
Yeah,
and
this is Chips.
Where is
Chips
it?
is the beagle.
Yeah.
And Salsa is the Chihuahua.
But you can see what Cynthia is talking about. Like, it's very specific. It's very sort of, unique, and you can see like it works for the name Chips and Salsa. And then I also want to just show at the back. I love what you did at the back. You've put the characters in the book.
Yeah, I wanted to do
and then
that.
you've put the type of dog that they are, which is lovely. So kids are going to learn what type of dogs.
And most children actually know all these dogs, like a Labradoodle.
Right.
That's a very popular breed right now.
Right.
I think for hypoallergenic, children.
Yes.
So I have a dog like that, or I have this dog, and they open up. They just open up. They start talking about the book and.
And what kids, I feel like what kids love, like little kids are going to love something like that, call it a map. They're going to look forward to just going and pointing out.
They do. I've been told that.
I'm sort of thinking back 40, 50 years. But, so it's, again, all these little details are so important. And again, people think, just write a children's book. But no, it's so there's so much in it.
And to also, what's really important is to keep the rhythm of the story with the illustrations, each page, so they have to coincide with that.
Right.
So a few times I had to shift, what I was saying, or maybe truncate that, make it a little shorter, just to make sure you keep that flow, that rhythm with.
So then take us through that. So you literally, is the next stage is once you found your illustrator, you're literally going to decide how big a chunk of writing is on each page. Is that your decision?
Well,
or is
actually,
that
the production editor helped with that.
Okay.
The senior production editor, she was excellent with that. So she kind of knew, you can't talk about that on this page because it wouldn't refer to the illustration, wouldn't, keep in rhythm with it. So that was very important too.
And you've got sort of, it's almost a double illustration. So the illustration is on two pages. It's one illustration on 2 pages. So that's slightly different. Oh no, not always. Sometimes it's split. So again, you sort of taught. You had to go through all that process.
With the storyboards,
right.
Storyboards. So the storyboards come in, and so Anna did it in black and white or whatever color it was, and they would PDF it, send it to me.
Right.
And so then we had to make a lot of adjustments sometimes in a few of the pictures. Salsa, his nose was too big, or it was too little, so we had to adjust the tail. We made adjustments like that. Wow. So then after you do that, the last thing is the color.
Right.
And colors are very important.
I was going to ask about that. So
important.
tell us about it. So it isn't just any old color. Like again, try and explain to someone who doesn't know what the differences are, or what you might not think about.
Sure. So I didn't want it in primary colors
too bright,
for
too
a
garish.
For a 1-year-old. Like you're teaching them red, green, yellow. So you didn't want it that bright.
Yep.
I didn't want it too muted that it didn't have any personality to it.
Right.
So that was a little challenging, but again, Anna was excellent with the colors.
Right.
She understood that I didn't want it for a baby's first book, bright. And I didn't want it too muted. So then some of the pictures you said, from your local area sort of thing. So how did that work? I went around, I took pictures. I actually went in our cute little downtown Kennett Square. We have a lot of Victorian type of homes. Right. So I'm out in front of their house taking pictures, and the people are very friendly in our little township. And, come on in if you want to see the house on the inside. And I was like, that's okay,
So you literally, again, that was one of your visions. You wanted the pictures to sort of express where you are from.
Yes,
for this
very
setting.
Authentic, because we love our town.
Right.
Our town of Kennett Square has a lot of history. It was a stop on the Underground Railroad. I don't know if you knew that. And we have a diverse community, a very strong Latino community there. And that's one of the things we really love about Kennett Square is we all come together. We had, initially there was an Italian population about 50, 60 years ago.
Okay.
And now we're kind of just like a blend, and it's very harmonious. People just seem to get together. We have a lot of little mushroom festivals. That's coming up, the annual Mushroom Festival in September.
Right.
So we do a lot of community-related activities and just bring everyone in, and it's such a nice, wonderful neighborhood. I just, I can't imagine living anywhere else. And incidentally, the downtown is just a small part, and then when you move out of the downtown, it's horse country. We have a lot of stables, and Longwood Gardens is there. So it's just a lovely area. So
then the actual story, I mean, you won the award, the purple, remind me what it is again.
Purple Dragonfly.
Purple Dragonfly. So again, your story, you wanted it to have a meaning, a message. Tell us a little bit about that. Because again, what I'm finding fascinating, and it's such a delight to talk to you, is because there's just so much goes into what you've done. And again, I come back to this thing, including myself. You say, oh, they've written everyone wants to write a children's book, but you just don't realize how much is involved. So just tell me a little about the message, because there's definitely a message here.
Absolutely.
And I don't want, I mean, you don't want to spoil it. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter if you spoil the story, because not children aren't going to be watching, right?
I'd love to. I'd love to.
But no, tell us a little bit about that, because I know you wanted it to mean something.
So the story is all about new experiences, new beginnings, and in this case, Salsa. He's not only new to the neighborhood, but he's new to the country. So he speaks a different.
I think I missed that.
It's subtle. It's subtle. I don't really.
Does it say he came from another country?
No, we just said he's new to the neighborhood. But
in your mind, that was...
Yes, and also when Maria calls Salsa to the door, she says "Ven aquí." So you can, extract from that that they're Spanish speaking.
Right.
So and I'm sure you know this, there are challenges when you come to a new country.
Sure.
My mother was, she's a foreigner. She was a foreigner. So there's a lot of challenge, but there's also a lot of excitement. So we all have, everyone experiences something new in their life, be it a new school, a new job, a new house, you're meeting your in-laws. I mean, there's just so many new experiences, and they are exciting, and you have to look at it from that angle. But they, don't kid yourself that you're not going to have challenges, because we all do, and that's part of life, is to look at the challenges, look at yourself, look at your guiding principles. What are you all about? And if you have to, sometimes open your mind to new people, new cultures.
Right.
So it all kind of comes together. Yep. And this is kind of what Salsa went through.
Absolutely.
He stood by his principles, and he also opened his mind up to I don't want to give it too much away, but to the bigger dogs.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that's really lovely. So what is your plan? So we kind of got stuck on the process, because I wanted to finish that. So then you've got all your pictures. So talk a bit more about the process, because we're at 2 months. You said 2 months and a bit. The pictures are starting to come in. You've done the color scheme. Then what? Let's finish that process.
Then they actually put the book together in a PDF form.
Right.
And show you actually go through the front cover. You choose, how you want the front cover. Yep. And typically they take a picture from the interior of the story and put it on the front cover.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so delightful.
And I like, and chips, it's yellow, like the tortilla chips and salsa. So she even thought of that.
Yep.
And
I really love it. Yeah. You definitely want to pick up this book for your child, or even as a gift, by the way. It's a great idea. So they finish it. So how long is that?
That took a while.
6 months?
In my case, perhaps even longer, because then we had the global pandemic.
Oh,
so that came into play.
Okay.
All the printing presses stopped. Totally.
Wow.
So, and then when they did start opening up the printing presses, there was a queue, a very long queue.
Right.
So the printer that I initially was going to have, it was such a long queue. So we decided to go with a printer overseas in South Korea that Mascot had worked with previously. And they assured me that they did quality work. And voila, the book comes several months later, and we were really pleased with the quality of the book.
Sure.
Yeah.
So then talk about a little bit about marketing, because I feel like you and I are on the same journey in a way. Like it's just mind blowing to me, because I always say it's like 35% is writing the book, and it's basically 70% marketing. How have you done that? What observations, especially because of COVID? We're just coming out of that now. Well, hopefully we are. But what have you been trying to do? Because I've seen you in local bookstores and Barnes & Noble, you mentioned.
Slowly I'm coming back into that. But now with this Delta variant, they're kind of hesitant to have big signing events. Marketing, I have to give credit to my husband. He's helped me with that, building up platforms, social media platforms, content. He's pretty good, tech savvy with content-driven materials, and so he's really helped me with that. I really did not have any background in marketing, especially digital marketing.
Right.
That's a totally different
But you've been visiting these little sort of gift stores and bookstores on the shore. So how have you done that? Explain that.
Well, I just kind of just
walk
walk
in the door?
and I always have a copy of the book with me. And once they see the book, they're like, "This is terrific."
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And they purchase the book through either a Mascot or Ingram.
Yeah.
Ingram is probably the largest distributor
Exactly.
of books, so they purchase it through that.
So for anyone who's looking at publishing, you've got to have all your sort of irons in the fire, because you put it on Amazon, and Ingram Spark is one of the publishers. But when you try and sell it, people are going to go to the computer, right? And they're going to check that it's there. So there's just one thing for people who are finishing a book or wondering about all that. Just make sure you have your sort of distribution. Where are people?
Those channels
People have got to be, because the thing is, what I found was people don't want it. Professionals, bookstores and libraries, they don't want to get it from Amazon. Did you find that?
That's correct. Right.
They're not interested.
They
in
don't.
That.
They don't get it from Amazon.
Yeah.
No.
So that's something you got to bear in mind when you when you do this. But what about the future? I think have we covered all the entire process?
Well,
I think
if I may just
say
have
I
one
forgotten
thing.
anything?
So I have my personal website, adventuresofchipsandsalsa.com, and any books that I sell from there, a portion of the proceeds from those sales, I donate to the Children's Hospital, Nemours AI DuPont Hospital.
Oh, so we didn't finish that story. So did you? So is your book now in the hospital?
Yes, it is in the gift shop, and it sells out all the time. So I'm constantly replenishing that on the shelves.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And is that like something that you've thought about? Maybe going to every children's hospital in the country and saying, hey,
that's a good idea. I had not thought of that. Thank you.
Right? I mean, that's the thing.
You're
when you
chock full of ideas.
Yeah, no, I mean, what did someone say to me? I should go to, because mine's a thriller, war thriller. I should go to every veterans, out camp, whatever you call them, in the car. Yeah. But it's, like how many things can you do? Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think for you, that's you could get a whole thing going, a whole network going of books to children's hospitals, because it's such a fascinating little detail that you just think, oh, a book, I need a book. I mean, they could have them in the, next to the gift store, the chapels, whatever.
And that's usually what they do, right?
That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what's next?
Oh, yes.
Have you got
more
the next?
adventures.
I was going to say, have you got any ideas yet? Or?
I do. I have several ideas. I haven't put the pen to paper yet.
Okay.
But and I think as I have my adventures, like flying. Maybe flying, right?
I can see
Chips
Salsa
and Salsa
up there.
is like the little red baron with
yes.
He takes flight with me. Yeah.
But I can see like Paddington Bear, or was it Paddington Bear? Yeah, I can see 10, 20 of these. At least like the sky's the limit, isn't it?
It is.
So you better get on with it.
I do.
I feel like you need to.
Chop.
Yeah, I mean seriously, come on, let's get going. And you've got everything in place. I'm sure the publisher loves you. So, anything else you want to say about the book before we wrap it up? Because I feel like we've covered it.
One thing this is something for someone who is thinking of writing a book. If you really have your heart in it, and you're just not doing it because I want to write a book, But if you really believe in the subject, you believe in this case, writing books for children to kind of spur their creativity. Go for it. It doesn't have to be expensive. You could self-publish on Amazon if you want. If you want to go that route, but just do it. It really and it's a fun process, and it's a learning process. Yeah, I enjoyed every step.
I was going to say it is satisfying, and particularly when people find your book in other countries. I find that I get a kick out of that, even if it's like Germany or Italy, and like someone bought my book in Italy.
Yeah. My book is in Singapore. Someone in Singapore has it. Right.
Well, look, Cynthia, thank you so much to Cynthia for a lovely conversation today, and for finding the time to pop by and share your journey with us. You can find out more about Cynthia at www.cynthiapetillo, that's P-E-T-I-L-L-O, cynthiapetillo.com, or www.adventuresofchipsandsalsa. I am your host, Richard Lyntton, author of North Korea Deception, Book 1 in the Deception series, available in all formats, including audiobook on Amazon and all around the world. And don't forget Hyde Park Deception, coming out October 2021. Cheerio, see you next time.